the assumption gap, the knowledge gap, the timing gap, the mistake gap, the perfection gap, the inspiration gap, the comparison gap, and the expectation gap. I'm sure you get a lot of value from this video if you stay to the end as I show you these 8 growth gap traps. All right, growth is not easy. Who else admires successful people like I do? If you're one of them, can I just see your hands? Of course. And if you admire successful people and you're aspiring to be a success, then one thing you must definitely take note of is growing. You must be very, very, very intentional, committed, consistent in the process of growth. As a matter of fact, I was going through a few books and there is this one that actually caught my attention that speaks about growth gap traps. And that's the book written by John C. Maxwell, which is titled How Successful People Grow. John C. Maxwell goes ahead to let us know about these traps that might plague each and every one of us. And I'm going to be sharing with you those 8 growth gap traps. Hopefully you find one that is peculiar to your case and immediately remedy for such situations. Now, the first gap is the assumption gap. Right from the childhood up onto a reasonable stage of life, it looks as if physical growth is spontaneous. What it means is that we are just growing 0 to 1 years old, 2, 3, 4, and as time continues to count, it looks as if one begins to mature physically. So there is this tendency that we think that growth should naturally take such spontaneous process. And what this does is that people become relaxed when it comes to self-development and think that they should just naturally grow or develop self by virtue of their daily activities upon the face of the earth. And that's not how it works. Just in case you are actually suffering this assumption gap, thinking that you should just grow like that, you can't grow like that. You actually have to be intentional about your growth. It's like what the Bible said. Jesus was speaking, he's saying, what man that intends to build a house does not sit down to count the cost? He cannot just walk through and get the result. He needs to be intentional. There must be an intentional approach towards growth for you to eventually grow. That's the assumption gap. The second one is the knowledge gap. What happens in the knowledge gap? It's where people ask the question of how can I grow? I don't know what to grow. I don't know what growth entails. All right. Just in case you are one of such kind of persons, once you want to grow, the first thing you should take note of is the picture of what you want to become. What exactly do you want to achieve? What do you want to become? What is life? What should life become to you? What do you want life to look like for you? Once you've been able to identify these things, then you now find what are the steps to be taken in order to achieve these results. So you cannot know how to grow unless you have a picture of what you want to grow into. And that's what this knowledge gap does. People don't usually know what to grow into. People decide to set out in the growth plan without identifying what they want to become. And once you do this, your growth will not be effective. So you must actually know what exactly you are working towards becoming. That's the knowledge gap. The next one is the timing gap. The question is this the right time to start growth? This one actually affected me. Just think, if I had come across this knowledge a while ago, I think we would have started this YouTube channel earlier. But no regrets, we've started and it's going very, very well. But you should also take note of it. The timing gap. There's really never a best time to start. Immediately you have an idea, it is actually best to get going before you lose steam. All right. So the timing gap, searching for when is the best time to start, is necessarily not going to help you when it comes to growth. Whatsoever thing you want to achieve and you have conditioned your mind to achieve it, you have been able to identify the steps that should take you towards achieving it. Make sure every other day from that minute is committed to doing those things that should bring you to such end results. The next one is the mistake gap. People are so much afraid of making mistakes that they don't set out the path of growth. All right. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to fail in business. You don't want to fail in academics. You don't know whether this path, if you take it, it will eventually give you what you desire. The best thing to do is, after doing your research of what you actually want to become, if it's still that thing, but you are afraid of making mistakes, you shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes. You should go through. Go on with it. As a matter of fact, make the mistakes, and tendencies are in the process of making mistakes. You learn better ways of doing things. You learn not to do things the way you did them before. You improve on your ways of doing things, and it even makes you better with respect to growth, and you keep growing. All right. So don't be afraid of making mistakes, and let mistakes not deter you from growing. The next one is similar, is the perfection gap. People are looking for the perfect way to enter. You're looking for the perfect time. You are looking for the perfect situation to begin a growth process. All right, there's really never a perfect situation. Once you've been able to conceive it, as I said earlier, start. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the money. You don't have to have all the resources, supposedly. You can have as much as you can to start. And once you have as little as you can actually start down that process of growth. Do start. Now, the next one is the inspiration gap. People will tell you, I'm not inspired to do this thing. I'm not inspired to grow. I'm not getting inspiration whatsoever. But John C. Maxwell in his book said that inspiration will naturally come when it looks as if you've been able to get benefits from that growth path. So what you ought to do is continue down that path until it begins to bear fruit. Whether or not it looks as if it's inspiring you, once benefits begins to show forth, the inspiration will naturally come. All right, that's for the inspiration gap. The next one is the comparison gap. Life, you're not in isolation. There are people that would have done the things you are attempting to do and are even doing them better than yourself. So tendencies are, if you come across such kinds of persons, it might look as if you have not done anything whatsoever, because you're attempting to compare your results with that of this one person in the same field that has supposedly done better. But in such cases, you should learn to know that it is actually safer for you that you have people that have gone ahead of you and that have done better, so that you can use their experience as a stepping stone to come into the proper growth pattern for you. All right, so in such case, once you find people that are far better than you, is to link up with them, develop a form of relationship with them that allows you to be able to reach onto them and tap from their wealth of experience. And once you do this, you will see that there is no need for you to feel intimidated by what they have achieved. As a matter of fact, if you do this, you see that people that have actually grown, they are people that love sharing knowledge. They like to share what they've gotten. They like to share what they've gained over the period in time with people that are supposedly aspiring to get to that level of life or growth. All right, so when it comes to the comparison gap, don't be intimidated by how far people have gone. Know that you can actually do better by just staying motivated. Last one is the expectation gap. Now, the expectation gap is people will go on and say, I didn't think it was going to be as hard as this. I thought it was going to be easier to get this done. All right, there is nothing that comes easy. Just in case you set down a path of growth and it's not looking like you thought it would look like, the most important thing is that you stay through the process until you become the end results that you desire. All right, so take note of these 8 growth traps. The assumption trap. Never you assume that you're growing. Always be intentional in your growth. The knowledge gap. Don't just waltz through life and supposedly assume you're growing. Have a picture of an end result, what you actually want to become, what you want to achieve, what you want to grow into. You need to have a detailed knowledge of it. Timing gap. There is never a best time to start something. Go ahead and do it. Perfection gap. You remember what I said about the perfection gap? Things don't have to already be perfect before you set out. The situation must not be perfect before you set out. The next one is the inspiration gap. Don't wait for inspiration. Inspire yourself, be motivated. As a matter of fact, stay on that growth path till it begins to bear fruits. When the benefits begins to come forth, it will serve, it is inspiration enough to continue to get you going. The next one, as I also said, is the comparison gap. People that have gone or that have done better than yourself, that have gone before you in that same path, are not a threat. As a matter of fact, you don't need to feel intimidated. You don't need to feel intimidated. All you need to do is leverage on their wealth of experience, follow such persons and get and grow. The Bible says, be thou follower of them who through faith and patience have obtained the promise. So if you see these people that have actually done well, you should actually follow them, and you would eventually get to that end result that you desire. Because I've also noticed that this quality of persons also are very helpful. They share knowledge with people that are aspiring to get to that level of life or growth. All right. So once you find such persons, be joyous. Meet such persons, broker a relationship with them, let them become a form of mentor. Let them mentor you or teach you down this path of growth. The last one is the expectation gap. Let me tell you beforehand, it will never be easy. Just in case along the line of your own growth you find it easy, it's fine. It's better to go with the mindset that it will never be easy and go there, and whether it's easy or not, you still have the right attitude to surmount such situations, and to think that it is going to be easy and go there and find something that is actually difficult or something that poses a challenge. every form of growth will pose a challenge to you along the period in time. So you need to keep your expectations real. Once it comes to growing, you must know that it will cost you. It will take a lot. And whatever the demand is, put your heart out there, pay the price for it, and you see that in no time, or should I say in the needed time, in the right duration of time, you would be able to enter into that end result that you desire. If you got value from this video, I want you to do us a favor, smash the subscribe button so that you can continue to get more of this video. And meanwhile, you can also encourage us by hitting the like button. Let us know that you like what we're doing. Till then, see you in the next video.